Welcome to the This Is His Story podcast, the executive director and pastor guide to sowing and reaping online givers.
Welcome to episode 21, Telling Your Christian Nonprofit Story. You know, ever since the Story Brand book came out, people are talking about telling your stories online. But what does that mean? How do nonprofits tell their stories on their website, social media, and in emails? And what happens when our story is really a God story? How do we tell that? So today we're going to talk about ministry and mission stories and how we tell them to the world. If you've listened to me very long, you know that one of the first things that I do when I go into a nonprofit, I always try to go to dinner with the founder or executive director, and I like to hear the backstory of the organization. What passion, where was the passion birthed from? How did the whole organization get built? Where's it headed? What's the theme and the driving energy? What's the why behind the organization? And of course, I give away my secret sauce. I pretty much take what is told to me at the breakfast, and then I just put that lens on and look at all their collateral, and I can find all the holes and the problems because they don't tell their stories very well. It happens all the time. And so this is right up my alley because I'm looking for the breakfast story in the stories that I see from their collateral. So what are some of the ways that you tell your stories? Well, so one of the things that I look at, boy, I'm really giving away a lot of secret sauce here. I first look at the name of the organization. Now, obviously, 99% of everybody's not going to change their name, though I did have one organization that after we talked, literally went to go change their LLC name of their organization because they realized that it was problematic. But most people aren't going to change the name. But I look, does the name itself explain who we are and what we're doing, or does it confuse it? And so if there's confusion or it doesn't convey, then I look at the tagline. One, do they even have one? And two, if they do, does it do a good job of supporting the mission and the purpose of an organization? And there's sometimes even the artwork. So there's the name, the tagline, the artwork. Like, what part does that tell in the story of who we are, who we serve, what we're passionate about? And of course, when you're looking at websites, that above the fold, like hero image, do you have an image that captures who you are, what you do, who you serve? And is it powerful? How many legs does it walk on? Could it be reshot or recreated by adding an element or two that really tells your story a little bit better? I challenge people all the time to have a great hero image. And if you can't have one, have five, meaning, well, we do this, this, and this. Okay, well, what's your hero image for each one of those? Because a picture's worth 1,000 words. And if you can show what it is you do and what it is you want out of what you do, then people can have a better understanding of what your ministry is all about, right? And of course, normally with a hero image comes sort of this little blurb that's very important. It's longer than the little tagline, but it's your elevator speech. It's, we are driven to this so that this happens. And so I always try to get people to spend a little bit of time on looking at their basic assets. Like isn't it funny? If you go to lunch with somebody and you can spend an hour and tell what you do, but what happens when you only get a business card? What happens if you only get a 10-second introduction? If you can't roll up simply what your organization does into that short of a time, then I'm going to challenge all my clients, anybody here listening, that you need that exercise, that mental exercise to clarify not only what you do, but maybe even what separates you from somebody else that does it. Meaning, we feed the homeless. Well, you and 5,000 other people. So do you do it differently than them? Or is it, where do you feed the homeless? Or what type of homeless are you looking to feed? What makes you different than the other guy who feeds the homeless? And that probably should be in your short elevator speech as well. Okay, let's talk about videos for a second, because that's another great way of telling a story. Now, not every organization is lucky, blessed enough to have a video that explains what they do. Unfortunately, I find that most people who spend the time to make a video end up making one too long, too complex. But let's just pretend you have a good video that explains what it is that you do. Well, that's great for the overview, but once I am a partner with your ministry or know all about it, I'm not ever going to watch that video again. So I challenge people who have a video to create other videos that tell the story along the way. Remember, if you listen to me, you know this. I say this all the time. If somebody gives you $1 to dig a well in Africa for a village, then before you ask for another $1, you need to show them that you went shopping for a shovel, you're digging a hole, or there's a kid drinking clean water. It's one of the three. And so with a video, I say sort of the same thing. It's like, if somebody's a partner of your ministry, show yourself. This is what telling your story is. Show yourself buying the shovel. Like, show your activities of what you're doing with their ministry dollar. Show activities, either the planning or the doing. And then the last one, the kid drinking the clean water, show the results of it. So that's what part of the storytelling is you're just saying, look, we're not just coming in, turning on the lights, sitting in a cube all day and leaving. Like, there's real work being done with our organization, and capturing and telling those stories. Video is a great way to do it. I mean, obviously print works as well. And of course, direct mail. Direct mail is not dead. I love direct mail. Even though I'm a digital guy, I just see the value in it. I actually work with a lot of radio stations too. And, everybody thought radio was dead, and it's not. And direct mail's not dead, and email's not dead. None of them are dead. They're all going to have benefits. But I will say this. Here's a little bonus material here. If you're working with print and you're working with digital, always make sure that your left hand, your right hand are in coordination, not only with the look, meaning you shouldn't get something in your mailbox and it looks completely different of something they're going to see on social media and your website or your email that comes out. Make sure they're all coordinated with the look, the brand, the wording of the stories you're telling. But I also would say really coordinate your drops. And I mean that by on a year end, I sometimes sit down with my clients and we talk really big details of like, okay, on Tuesday morning, this social media post is going to go out. We're going to drop the email on this day, and we're going to drop the letter in the mail 4 days before. And we just notice a giant lift when you coordinate down to the day or, days of when things are going to drop. The double punch of like somebody wakes up in the morning, they get something in the mail, they get something in their email, and they see something on social media, the attention that gets, then just shotgunning approaching it like, hey, in April, we're going to do these things. Well, no. How about April 14th? We're going to do these things. And then April 2nd, we're going to do this. And April 23rd, we're going to do this. Like, that level of detail really shows up with results. So I want to wrap back up before we finish. Everything that we do, especially I only work with faith-based organizations and churches, everything's a God story. And we're just the implementers of the God story. But we're allowed to tell God's story in a way that shows, look what's happening in the kingdom. And yeah, we're the ones doing it. It's okay. It's not bragging. It's just being honest about it. Like, our calling is to do X. We're doing it. Look at it being done. And remember how Paul went out from Antioch on his missionary journeys, and he came back and he told Antioch, the church in Antioch, all that had been done. Well, that's what you're doing. You're going back to your donors, back to your supporters, saying, hey, let me follow up with you and tell you what it is we're doing. Like, tell the stories of what God is using donors and their passions to serve people and to spread the kingdom news or kingdom joy or kingdom love. Like, there's so many different categories that nonprofits fall into, but they are kingdom minded. And take that lens and just say it's God's story through us to these people. And we want to thank you for your support for allowing us to do that. Or quite frankly, a better way to say that is we're letting you be the hero. You're doing it through your gifts, and we're just the arm, hands, and feet of making it happen. So anyway, I hope this helps. Be sure to go look at your websites with the different lens on. Act like you're new to the organization. Don't assume anything, and look at how you're telling your story in your name, your logo, your tagline, above the fold. And maybe if your homepage can't hold all the weight, look at different sections of your website and say, well, this section is about what we do here. Are we doing a good job with those taglines and hero images and names? Because the homepage may not be able to tell all that you do, but do all your subpages do a good job? And does your homepage get you to the subpages very well to tell your story? Blessings. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of This Is His Story podcast.
Overwhelmed at all the technical terms, trends, options, cost, invoice signings for your organization's digital strategies? Join other leaders of Christian organizations as we join hands in our closed Facebook group. Go to creativedigitalguide.com/Facebook to register and apply for access. I'm only allowing executives of Christian organizations in. No vendors, no high-pressure sales, no gimmicks into this closed Facebook group. Sign up today and be encouraged and informed as you lead your Christian organization. Looking for a free resource to help your organization move the needle on new names and donors? Watch the 5 simple shifts to gain dedicated donors with your digital strategies webinar. Go to creativedigitalguide.com to register for this on-demand resource built exclusively for executive directors. creativedigitalguide.com for more information of gaining donors and telling stories that convert to new names and donations. Fund your God-sized mission.